Welcome everybody. Thanks for coming. Thanks for spending a little time. I have a bird chirping in the background, just in case you're wondering, and also a short interview prep for Social Workers 101 presentation as part of the Peer Mentorship Committee. You know, myself, part of the visionaries, and then just trying to do a nice thing. I have a bunch of experience working in the career coach and career facilitation experience. So I used to teach this. So I just kind of came up with all the things that I have taught in the past, all the things I've learned in the past. And then also I drew on a resource at the end from Indeed, specifically questions, the 5 most common social worker questions. So who is this for? Any social worker interviewing for jobs, first professional job or the 10th, whatever, the same concepts apply. And like I said, it's just general interview prep info and principles, and then social work focused interview questions at the end. So here's where I'm going to start. Be your most confident self. Easier said than done for some of us. I totally get it. But if we can keep in mind that, like, we got to be authentic, we got to be ourselves, because if we put on a front, then they're hiring a front, and now you get to keep it up every day of your job. So be yourself, right? Be open, be honest, be authentic, and just choose to be as comfortable and as confident as you can, because, like, you're selling yourself, but they're selling themselves to you, you know? So, like, really, you want to come prepared with questions. You want to come prepared with having done your research. But whatever practices you have to try to be as confident as possible, one is preparing, right? The more prepared we are, the more confident we'll feel. And I'm going to show you how to prepare. Very simple. And then whatever other practices you have, if you have any affirmations that you use or whatever you need to do to ground yourself in confidence before you go in, right? The Superman pose, whatever you need to do to, like, fill yourself up. You guys know about the Superman pose? Ashley, do you know? You're the only one with the camera. You know about this? Okay, cool. Scientifically proven that if you stand in, like, open body, I forget the name of the researcher, but if you stand in an open body position, like literally like a superhero, or like something like big like this, or with like your hands on your hips, and like if you stand like this for a certain amount of time, it like literally increases your confidence. So look it up. I can't remember who it is, but I can get the information. So anyway, that's my first tip. My second tip is to do your research. So you want to do as much research as you can on the company. You want to learn about their values. You really want to find out where your values and their values align, so that you can discuss that in your interview. And you also want to find out things like, who are their competitors? Are there new projects that they're working on? So all of that you can find from their website. Go to the company's website, go to the values and mission statement, read about all of that stuff, read about their available services, so you know who you're going in to see. Okay, welcome back. Thanks for the tech challenges. We can overcome anything. My second tip about researching is to study the job description, and you can find the job description online or whatever. But you really want to study it. You want to understand and decipher what's most important for this job, because you are going to target your interviews for each job that you go into. You might have slightly different stories depending on the different skills that are needed for each job, and we're going to get to that. But you want, like I said, you want to learn about the position, and you want to use what is needed for the position in order to prepare what you are going to convey about yourself, because the job description is exactly what they're looking for. That's like the perfect write-up, the perfect candidate. Now, don't be scared if you don't match all the things on the job description. If there's some areas where you get to grow into, that's great, and you can even talk about that. But you should have, it should be a fit for you, right? You should have some of the basic skills, because if it's not, don't apply. But you want to make sure that you can convey how you're the perfect fit for that specific job. If that makes sense. So just like you want to target your resume, you want to target your interview. So here's a great tip. Reflective listening. This is what I use in my interviews, and it's actually been commented on before. Someone who was interviewing me was like, I really like how you did that. So if this resonates with you, you can try this out. So reflect back the question as you answer it. You're literally demonstrating your reflective listening skills, and people like to hear it. Plus, bonus, it gives you time to gather your thoughts. So, for example, they might say, "Tell me about a time you overcame a challenge at work," and then you could say, I'd say a way in which I've overcome a challenge at work would be the time that I, so on and so forth, because it literally gives you time to gather your thoughts, and you're making sure, like, they're sure that you're listening, and it's just like a nice little trick. So it's something that I've tried. Like I said, I've got feedback on, so try it out if it resonates with you. Of course, don't do any of this stuff if it doesn't resonate with you, because it's like I just said in the previous slides, it's your interview. You got to bring yourself to it. The elevator pitch. Here is like the first thing that you're going to want to prepare. Now, when I say prepare, I don't mean memorize. Please do not memorize these. You want to bullet point these and practice them in the mirror, but you don't want to try to memorize it, because if you're up in your head trying to remember the specific words and you've broken eye contact, boom, that's a strike. I mean, it's not going to totally kill you, but I'm saying, like, people want you to sit with them and have a conversation with them. So eye contact is really important. So don't be trying to memorize and think up in your head. Be more focused on having eye contact, because the way that you make them feel with giving them eye contact is going to be more memorable than you saying ums or ers or the wrong words. Say those ums or ers and just go right through it. Keep eye contact, keep the connection. That's super important. If you can bring that to an interview, you can do well. So anyway, the elevator pitch, it's often the answer to tell me about yourself, or, introduce yourself, or something basic like that. Often how they open up the interviews. And what they're looking for is, are you a good fit, right? So you want to do name, education, experience, skills or strengths, and why I'm a good fit. And you want to do that in 60 seconds. So you don't need a lot of details. This is not where you go into depth about your experience. This is where you just give some highlights, right? I'm Carly Baird. I have over 10 years of experience in adult education and behavior management. I'm a master of social work from the Ohio State University, and I am very good at relationship building, at creatively at innovating, and about presenting material. Whatever, I just made that up. But that's the point, right? So, like, that's the point. Those are the things that you want to highlight. So let's do our elevator pitch. So if you have a piece of paper, or you can pause the recording, go get the piece of paper. I think everyone on here has something. So just bullet point it out. You don't need to write in paragraph, just bullet point it out. Name, education, experience, skills, strengths, and why I'm a good fit. I'm going to give you a minute. I'm going to pause the recording so we can take whatever time you need. Okay, so now that you did your elevator pitches, we're going to talk about the weakness question. This one trips people up because they don't know what they're asking or why they're asking it. So here's some information as far as that goes. You'll probably be asked about your greatest weakness or something along those ways. And don't answer with something that's mandatory for the job. So, like, being on time. It might be true, definitely is true for me, but like, I'm not going to say it as my weakness. It's just one that they say you shouldn't use. What you want to use, first, let's understand what they're asking. They're asking if you have self-awareness and if you have a growth mindset. Because if you don't have self-awareness, you're going to be like, oh no, I don't really have any weaknesses. Or like, I'm doing pretty good, right? Like, but by being able to say, this is my weakness and this is how I'm working on it, that's how you demonstrate that you have self-awareness, that you're able to be reflective and humble and know what you need to work on, and that you already are actively working on it. So rather than saying, just like, well, I'm really socially anxious. It might be that, but it's probably going to be something that you're like actively working on, that is like attainable, that you're like that you're currently challenged by. So that you understand how and why they're asking that, or why they're asking that, that should hopefully give you some ideas, but you definitely want to convey how you're working on it too. Okay, these are the big ones. These are those random questions, situational questions. These are the ones that, like, there's 100 of them out there and you really can't prepare for all of them. However, you can prepare for the certain types because they break down to certain types of questions. And these are the general types. Tell me about a time when you had worked on a successful project where you innovated, or something like that. Sometime that you had a success. So the first type is a success, an example of leadership, or an example of innovation. So you want to come up with some sort of example of your success from your past work experience. The other type is a challenge or a failure and what you learned. They want to know again, if you can be self-reflective, and what did you learn from it? How are you applying some challenge in the past? Everybody's made a mistake. It might sound like that. The question might be, tell me about a time you made a mistake and how did you resolve it? Or tell me about a time you worked with a challenging customer and what did you learn from it, or something like that. That's your second type. Your third type is working with others, like working on a team or something like that. Your fourth type is working with supervisors. That's kind of switched around. But bottom line, the things that you really want to prepare for are ways in which you can demonstrate the skills they need. So again, we're going back to that job description, right? What does a job description say are the most important skills needed for this job? Prepare a situational answer for all of those top three things. So that's what we'll do here in a minute. But here's just some concepts to keep in mind, that they're really trying to get you to paint a picture of what you're like to work with, because you can tell them, I'm committed, I'm hardworking, I'm great at relationship building, but show them your answers to your situational questions are showing them essentially what you're saying with your words in your elevator pitch. So we'll get to that. Rather than telling them what you're good at, paint a picture. It's qualitative evidence, right? And like I said before, it's worth saying again, please don't try to memorize these. Please don't try to script these out and memorize them, because that's going to get you out of the present moment into your head. And if you can take only one thing from this whole demonstration, just be present with them. There should have been a slide just for that, but just be present with them. Just have a present conversation. Because if you can be present, make eye contact, demonstrate your reflective listening, especially if you're applying to be a clinician, that's huge. That's huge green flags for you as an employee. Now, okay, it's our second exercise, if you will. So let's prep your situational answers. So I'm going to pause the recording. I want you to spend as much or as little time as you want here. But here, this is the way, if you take this information between the elevator pitch, the weaknesses, and the 5 to 6 situational questions and answers, you're going to be prepared. That's you're going to get random stuff asked at you. But if you have 6 situational, experiential, qualitative evidences, stories, basically, right? 6 different stories about those other things that I just mentioned, then you're going to be prepared. So take as much or as little time. Like I said, don't script them, but just bullet point them. So what are your top 3 strengths that you shared in your elevator pitch? I heard relationship building. I heard creativity. Whatever yours are, make one story demonstrating each of those things. So for relationship building, I would probably talk about a time where I supervised 20 different individuals with disabilities cases, and I had to build relationships quickly with all the staff, all of their guardians, all of their organizations, all of the representatives from their organizations, and build collaborative teams, right? I would probably tell that story, for example. And then also think of it as challenges as failure. Think of a story for challenge or failure. Think of a story for innovation, how you problem solved. think of a story for working with others and think of a story of working with leadership. So if you have questions, please reach out to me. I'm just gonna finish this section real fast, and we'll pause to do that exercise. But here is 5 social work questions from Indeed. I just did a little research and got an article from Indeed, and I have linked at the end. You can just do a real quick search and find it very simply. It's 5 social work questions from Indeed. Here are those questions. What is the most significant thing that affected your decision to go in the field of social work? Social workers are often privy to personal information about people they work with. What measures will you take to keep the details of your caseload private and confidential? It's a great question. Social workers have to communicate complicated cases to relevant persons. How would you handle this? Another great question, on the job type question. Social workers don't always come in on a convenient schedule. What would prevent you from being flexible about your hours? Be careful not to share too much personal information, but you should feel comfortable to like tell them a little bit about what your life looks like. And if you might have scheduling challenges, you want to be able to talk about that. And then finally, how do you anticipate maintaining a positive attitude in light of difficult circumstances with the clients that you are managing? Great question involving social workers. So that is a resource from Indeed. And here's the link to that, or you can't click on it, but you could, like I said, you can search for it real quickly. And that's my presentation for today. I hope you gained something new. I hope you learned something, and please reach out to me with any questions. Thank you.